of duress. That does a lot of work, knows that the coast is clear, can pick apart cards like Through Time, the late game engine cards that Nguyen has. The downside here, game one, he's got a lot of creature removal that does not do a whole lot in the matchup. 2 copies of Languish and Utter End. Now these cards can be okay answers to Dragon Lord Ojutai, but you don't want to be leaning on cards that reactive necessarily. 3 midnight copies of Roast and Reef Soul, that's not doing a whole lot of work. So even though Brachhold does have some card advantage, he can hang around with Nguyen in that respect. The fact that he's got a lot of dead cards game one digs him into a bit of a hole.
Well, these players will take a look at their opening hands here in just a moment. We will be underway. As again, we know that Logan Mize is into the top 8. He's 1 of 8. We got to figure out who the other 7 are going to be. Todd Anderson, Tom Ross, certainly in good position for that, especially Todd. This is a win-in round for Todd.
Yes.
He wins, he can draw the next round, he could even lose the next round. And for Tom, he's got to go win-win. Same can be said for James Nguyen and some other players.
And Tom, you know, hypothetical win and draw, gets to be one of the upper seeds too. I think that the majority of the top 8 is going to be composed of people with X and 3 or worse records.
Sure.
So X2-1, a very valuable record to end the Swiss with.
Looks like Henry having a bit of an issue here with his deck. This is not good. Looks like Henry forgot to de-sideboard, so he's going to take a mulligan down to 5 as a result.
Okay.
I believe if you call this on yourself when you draw an opening hand, they'll allow you to de-sideboard and take a forced mulligan, I believe is the rule.
Okay.
So
how do we get to 5 cards from there?
Well, he's already mulliganed once. Yeah.
He's mulliganed and then drew a sideboard card in a 6-card hand.
I believe that's the case.
Called a judge on himself.
Yeah.
Now goes to 5 and avoids both the game loss and the shame of cheating on camera.
Yeah, the 1-2 punch.
Very, very solid play there.
So after he does fix this mistake, we will be underway here. And we do now have an update here from Eric Hawkins' Twitter account, in that the Premier IQ for Eric did not go well.
Very bad news.
Yes, he is already out of that tournament as well. So for Eric Hawkins, now he has to turn his attention to the Invitational next weekend.
He's going to be behind Logan Mize for sure at the
yeah.
end. It's just a question of how much damage is going to be done.
I believe at the conclusion of this weekend, Eric Hawkins will be the first person out.
And very good news for Tom Ross, who might find himself on the outside of the top 8 of this tournament, depending how the next 2 rounds go.
That's true. That's true.
You get to this stage of the tournament, and the right losses for certain people feel just as good as wins. It's the same thing.
It's weird.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's true. You are definitely right about that. All right, 5 cards here for Henry. He has corrected his mistake, and now he gets to look at opening hand. All right, looks like James has done a little bit of mulligan here as well. Both players going to scry from the Vancouver mulligan rule. The green light has been given, and now play will begin. Henry just deciding where he wants to put that card, to the bottom. Brachhold going to start off with an expedition. Oh boy.
Bloodstained Mire.
You know that one?
I can tell by the number, by the size of the first word and the size of the second word.
What? Okay, smart guy, what's that?
I think that's a
It's not a shambling vent.
Smoldering Marsh.
All right.
I'm going to go with Smoldering Marsh.
All right.
Hit me, dealer, tell me. No one knows for sure, so someone say something.
I'm pretty sure it's a Smoldering Marsh. I'm pretty sure. We don't get expeditions much on camera at all.
No, we don't. We've seen them a little bit, but not a whole lot.
All right, you're right with the Bloodstained Mire. Here's a Duress. Definitely Smoldering Marsh now. Here's James Nguyen's hand.
Expedition Assassin.
Yeah. Foul Tongue Invocation, Ultimate Price. Looks like Ruinous Path is going to bite the dust.
This is not a bad hand for Brachhold to see. On 5 cards, with a little bit of time here, he can leverage cards like Den Protector and Nissa to get back in the game in terms of raw card count. So as long as there's no card advantage or anything proactive in Nguyen's hand, not the end of the world.
Dig Through Time, the draw step there.
Worst possible draw, probably, for Brachhold.
Brachhold going to sacrifice his normal Wooded Foothills.
Well, normal foil.
Yeah, sure.
Guess con, so not the most expensive possible version of the card.
Let's see what this is going to search up. Oh, yeah.
Can't be Vista.
Yeah.
Easy. You can tell by the hedrons in the art.
This is where you fire away and outdo it on knowing what the cards look like. This is my one weakness.
Yep. Well, these are especially challenging to identify.
Yeah.
Bloodstained Mire is a fairly easy one because the first word is so long and the second word is so short that you can kind of tell from afar. And the hedrons are reddish, so you can narrow it down a little bit there too.
Well, I have a lot of pride in my ability to just snipe a view of a card and know what it is immediately. It's a skill I have.
Well, we've only seen so many expeditions.
I've seen like none of them. Like I don't think I've ever seen that Canopy Vista before.
I think between the two of us, we've opened one.
Oh yeah, the big Scalding Tarn for me at Grand Prix
Tarn.
Pittsburgh. I'm rich, thanks. Flooded Strand. Back over to Brachhold we go. Foil Mountain. That dress was foil too. Now Tassiger. For me, that's just something for James to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is ultimate price on curve.
pretty much. Now Nguyen will draw. Pass the turn back now. I think dig through time coming on the unstep.
Yep.
Sandstep Citadel. Nguyen will sacrifice a couple of fetch lands here. He's going to fall down to 17. We'll see if it's going to be basics or non-basics.
I think he wants to get two basics here.
Island with the Flooded Strand. Swamp with the Polluted Delta. Five cards in the graveyard for dig.
Gets to leave a card in his graveyard for his troubles.
Yep.
For future delving. I believe he also has at least one copy of Jason in his deck.
Yeah, one copy of Jace Fringe Prodigy this weekend for James.
You have 50 minutes and may begin.
He'll look at the top 7 with the dig through time and take 2 with him. Will the former Open Series champion. The Portland, Oregon native. And whenever you find a cheap flight for a tournament, you can't say no.
It makes it much harder.
You kidding me? $99 to fly from Portland to Denver? Yeah, I'm in.
To unseasonably warm Denver.
That's true.
And you're going to Las Vegas anyway. So
yeah, that's true as well.
might as well.
You know, Magic players can't pass up value. He's found the 2 cards. Now we'll head back his way. I think Painful Truths might be in the hand. And given the way this game is going, more than happy to pay 3 life for 3 cards.
Yeah, with Brachhold not up to much here.
He's found a copy of Dragonlord Ojutai. The only thing Nguyen hasn't done this turn is played a land yet, so he's just trying to figure out what land to play. He'll play a Sunken Hollow, pass the turn back. Over to Brachhold, we're going to go. He'll draw a card. There is a Gideon. Will that resolve? Negate says no. Problem solved there, as Nguyen will untap after Brachhold does play a copy of Shambling Vent. Next up, Dragonlord Ojutai with a Bloodstained Mire at the ready. And that's what this deck's all about.
Especially with Brachhold on very few cards in hand. Passing the turn here, representing a removal spell, but if Nguyen's got counter spells, he can punch through, and if not, he can just hang back.
Yep, and there's nothing to say that he even has to attack here.
The squeeze.
Yep. Dragonlord Ojutai in a roundabout way forces you to keep mana up, which means that it's sort of time walking him. Because, yeah, Nguyen doesn't have to attack until he's ready, so Brachhold has to keep holding up removal because you don't get hit by that thing.
And so many of Brachhold's draws are, 3 and 4 mana creatures, and if he's holding up a removal spell, he can't cast those. So Brachhold's really jammed up as long as he takes this line to play, and Nguyen can just hang back, sculpt his hand, draw to more copies of Dig Through Time.
Yep. Attack at his leisure.
Yep.
We have seen this from Esper Dragons before. Dragonlord Ojutai is no joke. Changes the way the opponent has to play the game. There's a Prairie Stream for Nguyen, maybe. They can't get that with the Bloodstained Mire, so he's got to go get himself a Sunken Hollow instead. So over to Nguyen we'll go. We'll draw a card here. Picked up an island. Looks like he'll just pass the turn back. Brachhold with another expedition. Do you know that one?
I believe that's Windswept Heath.
Okay. Dragonlord Salumgar the draw. There's an island, pass the turn back. Gonna sacrifice the Windswept Heath, will Brachhold.
Well, we'll find out if it's a Windswept Heath in a moment, based on the landing. Yes.
Yeah. You are on fire, NBA Jam style.
I really dread the next modern event that I end up covering where people have the Expedition Ravnica lands, because I cannot make heads or tails of any of them.
What land did you search up there?
That was a Cinderglade.
Beautifully done.
I know that because I opened up that one on Magic Online.
Oh, hello. So now you're ticket rich and play point rich.
It was only worth 4 tickets at the end.
What?
Well, you can't redeem them.
Oh, jeez.
So it's just for people who want to have cool looking cards on Magic Online. So I was shocked I even got 4 tickets for it. I couldn't believe it.
James gonna play a dig through time here.
Seriously, 4?
Yeah, that's low.
Yes.
Don't you just hold there?
No.
James gonna duress, see if the coast is clear for his Dragonlord trying to come into the red zone. Here's the hand. Siege Rhinos, a couple of them. Obnixilis, an Obzon Charm, and a Roast.
So 2 potential removal spells here for Dragonlord Urgetai in Obnixilis and Obzon Charm. So James has the information he needs. It's just an issue of can he win the fight over Obnixilis?
Well, if he's attacking, I think he feels pretty comfortable that he can.
The answer is yes.
Yeah. Take a look at the top couple.
Call me Nostradamus. Next turn, Brachhold is going to try to resolve his Obnixilis.
Okay.
And will fail to do so.
That's your thought there?
Yeah, that's my prediction.
Okay. And James going to take a land there from Dragonlord Urgetai. Place it directly on the battlefield. Patrick's prediction is that here is a Obnixilis, and you do not think it's going to resolve. Nice.
Should just get my own 1-900 number.
Yeah.
Psychic predictions.
You don't even need me here in the booth. You can just go. James going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand. What do they call those things? The
Psychic
psychic hotlines?
I
What's
don't
it called? Yeah, do they have like does like the person, the psychic, do they have like a name? Do they have like a moniker?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. It's part of the charm, right?
Clairvoyant Patrick?
Yeah.
I think you'd be great at that, by the way.
If Brachhold called me up right now, I would say, you're going to die.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be, how much you charging?
The cell phone bill will reflect it. I don't get into numbers over the phone. I don't get into that sort of thing over the phone. I think talking about money is gauche. It'll show up on your phone bill.
Regular rates will apply.
Yeah.
Here's a Siege Rhino. That's just fine. Brachhold going to go up to 10. Win will fall a little bit lower.
I think Wynn's about to go up to 16. Oh, no, I was wrong. Sorry. Just assumed the foul tongue invocation was coming.
Well, you can't get it right every time. Nguyen is going to take a look at a couple of cards here. Foul tongue invocation among them. He'll take that card. James in what I would call a commanding position.
Yep.
With 300 cards in his hand. And electing to cast the foul tongue invocation to take care of the Rhino. James going to have to maybe even discard here. I will say this, all kidding aside, when Esper Dragons gets into a situation like this, there's almost no coming back.
Brachhold's Mulligan 5, certainly not helping matters, but the Roast is also part of the problem here. Just some dead removal in his deck game 1. He gets to sideboard that out, but on 5 cards and drawing a Roast, it's going to be really hard for him to win.
James Nguyen going to win game number 1 here over Henry Brachhold. Esper Dragons quickly up a game here over Obzon Red, which means we'll take a look at the sideboards. And we'll start with Henry, who's got 2 Transgress the Mind, 2 Radiant Flames, 2 Surge of Righteousness, 3 Hollow Moonlight, 2 Painful Truths, 3 copies of Crackling Doom, and a Dragonmaster Outcast. Some nice options here.
Yeah, so he can cut a lot of the bad removal spells for cards like Transgress the Mind, Painful Truths. I don't mind Crackling Doom in this matchup. Edicts are good answers to dragons. And I think the 1 copy of Dragonmaster Outcast is also fine, as you would expect this game to go on for a long time.
On the other side of things here for Nguyen, he's got to Transgress the Mind, a Self-Inflicted Wound, 2 copies of Infinite Obliteration, Disdainful Stroke, Negate, Virulent Plague, Foul Tongue Invocation, Dispel, Surge of Righteousness as all 1-ofs, and then 2 Tasker the Golden Fang and 3 Ration Clerics.
Well, I think you definitely want the Transgress the Mind and the Disdainful Stroke here. Past that, you have options to sideboard into more removal spells. I don't know if you would necessarily want to go overboard with it, but cards like Self-Inflicted Wound and Surge of Righteousness are acceptable in the matchup. I can also see the 2 copies of Tasker coming in if you expect that Brachhold's cut most of his creature removal, certainly cards like Roast. If you think he's on Edict-style effects, maybe things like Self-Inflicted Wound to answer your dragons, something like Tasker might be able to sneak through.
Well, those are the options there for both players. They will shuffle up and get ready here for game number 2 in just a moment. Henry Brachhold will be on the play, and we will talk about Patrick Chapin and his 2 wonderful books here with the Next Level Library. That means Next Level Magic and Next Level Deck Building.
Yes, 2 books by Patrick Chapin, Magic Hall of Famer and Pro Tour champion, 2-time World's runner-up competitor. Next Level Magic with a focus on playing the game better, and Next Level Deck Building to focus on the art and science of building decks for players of all ability levels. Available right now, paperback and ebook, starcitygames.com/nextlevel.
Rumor has it we may see the Innovator next weekend at our Season 4 Invitational in Las Vegas.
So I've heard.
And that would make me a very happy man.
If Patrick Chapin were to attend any of our invitationals, I would bet on the Vegas one being the one that draws him out. Shortest flight and most enjoyable set of extracurricular activities.
A lot of books to be read.
A lot of book reading to be done.
And that's why I like Las Vegas quite a bit. I like books. And good food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mean the sports book, right? Or some other book?
What's that?
Oh, sorry.
What is
talk about? We'll talk about it off air. You might be interested. I don't know.
There are a lot of books about sports.
Right.
So I assume that's what you mean.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a whole library there where you can just read about any sport that's going on that you'd like to read about.
Yeah. And they change it daily about the sport I can read about.
Right,
Which is
exactly.
great. There are consistent updates in case I get bored.
Yep.
Which is, again, why I like books about sports. James Nguyen, former Open Series champion. We were in his home state of Portland, Oregon. Got the job done in Legacy, but James is actually pretty well versed across multiple formats. I know the Modern is probably his biggest weakness, but Legacy, he likes to play a lot of Charlotte Sultai or Miracles. And then Standard, he typically opts towards blue decks anyway. I've known James for a couple of years now. Loves a good counterspell, more than most.
James actually brought his Charlotte Sultai deck today as backup in the event.
Case?
Just in case this Open didn't go very well, but instead, it's going quite well for him here. X and 3, an opportunity to maybe make the top 8. Probably cannot, with a win here, cannot intentionally draw next round would be my prediction, but controls his own destiny here. Wins 2 in a row and will be in the top 8.
I will say I like his matchup right now.
Gets a lot harder post board,
Yeah.
and that's very common with Obzon decks because they have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you get to cut the worst parts of the little bit of this and a little bit of that for cards like Transgress the Mind and Painful Truths, which are big upgrades for Brachhold.
Both players lay out their opening hands. We'll see what they can find. They're both happy. Brachhold will begin with a Shambling Vent. As will Nguyen. Brachhold another copy of Shambling Vent. So we'll go back over James's way. And now here is a Jace Prince Prodigy. Going to put Brachhold to the test right away.
And such a dangerous card post-board for decks like Esper, because how much creature removal can a deck like Obzon Red rationalize keeping in? Jace is so powerful in these games if it sticks, and it's hard for Brachhold to justify leaving in that much anti-Jace removal.
Well, Crackling Doom happens to be a good one against everything that James is doing.
Exactly. If it's an early Jace, Crackling Doom's a good answer. If it's Dragon Lord Ojutai, some other dragon, Crackling Doom also excellent.
Well, that is one less Crackling Doom that Nguyen has to worry about for his dragon. So there's a bit of a trade-off there as he does play a Flooded Strand as land number 3, and he'll pass the turn back over to Henry. And Henry will take a draw step. Land number 4 is a Bloodstained Mire. And now here's a Morph. It feels like a Den Protector to me.
A little bit of risky business here. Den Protectors are a very scarce commodity in these kind of matchups. You need to make sure you're getting a lot of value out of them. And Brachhold taking a little bit of risk because if Nguyen has a response here, it dies, and no card to be taken back here by the Den Protector.
James going to search up a basic island here with his Flooded Shred as he falls down to 17. Here's a Foul Tongue Invocation to take care of the Den Protector, so Nguyen will even get to gain 4 life in the exchange. Over to James will go. Prairie Stream the draw. He'll play a Sunken Hollow, pass that turn back over to Brachhold, who will sacrifice that Bloodstained Mire, and he'll get a land out of his deck. Cinderglade is the weapon of choice here for Henry.
Good eye.
Oh, come on.
You're learning too.
Yep. Only takes once, man.
You know how you can tell?
How's that?
The Hedrons.
Yes.
That's how you know it's a Cinderglade.
That's this again.
So at some point, I promise that joke's gonna get old for me, but
not today.
probably not for the rest of this tournament. No.
Yeah.
Hopefully Brachhold makes the top 8. Just can run that. This is just the gift that keeps on giving.
Here's Anissa. See if this is going to resolve. James is going to play an Anticipate in response. I'll take a look at the top 3 cards. Utter End among them. I think that may have been his selection. The rest are going to go to the bottom. And this will resolve. And why not have a foil one of those? Along with a foil forest to go with it. I hope that deck's double sleeve. Just gonna.
I'm guessing so.
I'm just gonna put that out there. Dragonlord Otatai's on the way. This is probably my favorite aspect of this deck is just on turn 5, it's this.
Yep.
And then if you can, you better have an answer, basically. That's my favorite part of the deck. It's like a control deck for the first couple of turns, and then boom. Crackling Doom, okay, you have an answer. You get to play on. And here comes Nissa now. And this is 1 land away from flipping. So Nguyen needs to find an answer to that card. Draw a card here. Looks like he picked up a copy of Bloodstained Mire. He'll play that.
Win with Utter End in hand, but at that point, the Nissa's done a lot of work. Done a little bit of damage, got a land out of his deck, and trade with a 4-mana card. Got to be happy with that sequence of events of your Brachhold.
Now he's going to use Utter End. Just wants to make sure that's off the battlefield. Can't afford to let that thing potentially flip. So Brachhold will take a draw step. And he'll go with Duress to clear the way. See what Nguyen's working with. Dragonlord Salumgar and a couple of lands.
Unsurprisingly, a pretty soft hand from Nguyen, given that last turn his play was Utter End your Nissa.
You know, James was thinking about maybe using Dragonlord Salumgar to take the Planeswalker.
Very risky if Brachhold goes, kill your dragon, play a 7th land, now Nissa's flipped. It's a much more conservative route here.
There's a Morph. And James immediately taking a look at the graveyard. He'll see another Den Protector, 2 Crackling Dooms down there.
Well, the Morph might be good enough to take. Because even if Brachhold gets back the Crackling Doom, the Den Protector's 3 power, as is the Dragon.
This is true.
And Brachhold's probably not going to give Nguyen anything juicier than that because he knows about the Dragon now.
Well, Nguyen on tap. And now he'll draw. I think he just picked up another land, so it looks like his options are pretty limited at this point. Oh, here comes Dragonlord Slumgar. Den Protector is going to unmegamorph. It'll get a counter. And we'll see what it wants to return. Going to go with another copy of Den Protector.
Yeah, the game's being played right now at a slow enough pace that Brachhold can afford essentially to spend a turn to get a free creature.
So back to Henry we're going to go.
And you can see Brachhold's last card in hand is also an Abzan Charm, so he can simply exile the dragon.
Well, that ends up working out just fine. Just got to figure out how he wants to tap the mana for the spell. There is Abzan Charm. There goes Dragonlord Slumgar. There's a land. And now another morph, which is Den Protector. James is going to take a look at the graveyard. His hand right now, 2 lands. He'll draw. Plains is his land for the turn. Here's 6 mana. Another Dragonlord Slumgar.
You can see the face that Nguyen made knows this is not very effective right now, but at least this will probably force the Den Protector to flip and get a removal spell back. And then at that point, Nguyen is drawing to Languish to clear the board. Dragonlord Ojutai fully stabilizes things. Dig Through Time can get back all sorts of stuff.
Gonna get back the Abzan Charm.
Nguyen has to just kind of slog through this portion of the game here.
Yep.
Cut off all of Brachhold's card advantage and then hope to draw well.
There's the Abzan Charm. Den Protector going to go back over to Henry. I think we're going to see Henry fire up a Shambling Vent too if the mana works out, and it does. And now here's an attack for 5. So Nguyen's going to fall down to 11. Brachhold going to gain a little bit of life, go up to 21. Now James wants to take a look at the graveyard again just to see what he has to work through, as this is a pretty important draw step for him. Didn't get a great look at it, but he's reaching for mana very quickly. Good draw.
Yep, this is a fine starting point.
Yeah.
I think the best card for Nguyen to find right now is Dragonlord Ojutai, because then Brachhold can't attack, and if he can't attack the next turn, Nguyen gets to attack, anticipate, and find some help.
Ultimate price among the cards he's looking at right now. Dragonlord Ojutai is in there too.
The Dragonlord Ojutai plus Salumgar score, which I think is what Nguyen is looking at, that's a big turnaround right here.
That could be the 1-2 punch he's looking for.
So I do not believe, as of yet, he's played a land. So he can put his 7th untapped land into play and then do all this.
Yep. This turn ends up being a pretty good one here for Nguyen.
Dig Through Time into Dragonlord Ojutai Salumgar score and is about as good as Nguyen could have helped for.
There are worse turns. Looks like Salumgar's Scorn is the reveal to Transgress the Mind, but Transgress the Mind cannot take that card.
Yeah. Really bad news for Brachhold to draw Transgress in that spot where it would have been good for a number of turns and see that card in hand. Can't take it, and it's very powerful.
Yep. Looks like Shambling Vent might get fired up here.
Well,
the way he's setting it aside.
Brachhold might throw his hands up in the air here, especially facing down a counterspell in hand, and say, I'm just going to try to attack you twice. Attack this turn, attack next turn. If Nguyen doesn't find help off of his draw step in the Dragonlord Ojutai, that's enough damage to get it done.
Well, we can't forget about the Shambling Vent that Nguyen has on his side.
That is true.
It'll play a little bit of role in things. I understand why Brachhold's making the play he's making, and you see Nguyen's going to block immediately. Because Brachhold's in a pretty horrible spot now.
I don't think he's got an alternate play, though. If the hand was nothing, maybe you could try to play on, but Slumgar scoring against no spells in hand, I think he's just forced to make a move.
Now here comes Dragonlord Ojutai. Take a look at the top couple. Tassiger in there, negate 2.
Tassiger is a huge draw.
Yep.
An enormous blocker here. Another source of card advantage. I think it's something he can cast on the cheap enough here. I think what Nguyen's looking at right now is, can I cast Tassiger, animate Shambling Vent to block, and still leave up Slumgar scoring mana? If you can do that, I don't know if Brachhold can get back in.
Not sure what draw he has that's even good. There's Prairie Stream. You see the way that James is laying out all his cards now, too? Making sure that he doesn't tap anything incorrectly. So there's Tassiger, going to delve away the graveyard. There's the mana for Shambling Vent, and what's Slumgar scoring? Just pass the turn back.
What's so convenient about this, you see the way the land's split. If he needs to animate the Shambling Vent and block, he still has access to Slumgar scoring. If Brachhold does nothing, he gets to activate Tassiger with Slumgar scored. Mana still back up. Just a perfect use of resources here. No cards left in graveyard.
Yep.
You needed every piece of the Buffalo to get to this part of the game, but turned it around pretty fast.
Needed every piece, as you said, to get here, and, well, he's here. And it's a good spot to be in. And now for Brachhold, he's going to need one heck of a draw step, and I'm not sure what the best one even is.
Well, now it's just got to be multiple draw steps, because he's got to be able to beat the counter spell. Whatever it is, he has to get through that first, and then needs to draw well from there.
Players in the modern event, that is time.
And I don't think Brachhold can really make an attack here, because even if he animates both the Shambling Vents and attacks with everything, Den Protector dies. One Shambling Vent gets through. Nguyen picks up 2 life from blocking with the Shambling Vent.
Ultimate Price going to go back to the grip. It's getting even harder now.
Yep.
In comes Dragonlord Ojutai. Yeah, now James is just going to he might just leave all the mana up now. Just a wall of mana and spells. Let's see what this is. A Siege Rhino. Yeah, absolutely not.
He might be able to get this card back with Tassiger.
Yeah, which is even more terrifying. Here's a Tassiger activation. Oh, great. So it's that or dig through time. Wonderful.
Yeah, Brachhold has to give him dig.
He sure does. I think James might be able to activate again. It's just going to Ultimate Price there. That's just another card in the graveyard here for James. Just drew a copy of Dig Through Time, did win. Here comes Dragonlord Ojutai again. And this is what Esper Dragons does. It just puts a real stranglehold on the game, all thanks to Dragonlord Ojutai.
And I think Foul Tongue Invocation here might be the lock. That gets Nguyen up to 10, and then I don't know what series of draw Brachhold has to make up the deficit.
But certainly not that land. That's going to do it. James Nguyen's going to win this match over Henry Brachhold, 2-0. Esper Dragon's going to take care of Obzon Red, and for James Nguyen, he moves on to 11-3 and still in top 8 contention. He wins next round. We'll see him in the elimination rounds.
A lot easier for Nguyen to interact with Brachhold sources of card advantage than the other way around.
Yeah.
Nguyen was able to kill and even counter a Den Protector, let's say, or a Planeswalker, and it's much harder for Brachhold to interact with things like Dig Through Time off the top, which